Well, hello and welcome wherever you find yourself around the world of volleyball today to the city of Bendigo in Victoria for this next match in the World Grand Prix of volleyball. It is a match between the teams of Cuba and Colombia. Hello and welcome. My name is Jonathan Fogarty. It is a great privilege to bring this match to you, part of the World Grand Prix. This match will be getting underway in a few minutes and looks like it is going to be an absolute cracker. The team's just warming up. Both teams have had mixed results so far in the World Grand Prix, so looking to really establish themselves today, their final match here in Australia before they head off overseas for round 2. We are, of course, in this beautiful Gold Rush era boomtown as part of Victoria, known for its rich architectural Victorian heritage. The Sacred Heart Cathedral you saw there, all the way through to its great architecture, and this fabulous talking tram, which is part of the tourist attractions of this part of the world. I'm joined in commentary today by Ross Solly. Ross, hello and welcome to you.
Jonathan Fogarty, great to be with you. Fantastic to be in Bendigo and fantastic to be able to watch volleyball on a Sunday. It is a day of rest, a day of prayer for many people, and of course, for many, volleyball is the prayer. And we've had a wonderful weekend so far. Cuba and Colombia, one win each coming into this match today. I can only imagine the Cubans must be a little bit battle weary after last night, a four-setter that took a lot of energy out of them, and mentally quite draining as well as physically quite draining. So I don't know how they'll back up the Colombians. They are looking like they're having a lot of fun here, and of course, well and truly beaten by Croatia yesterday, but you would think that the Colombians might fancy themselves to bounce back today against the Cubans. I'm looking for a real Latin American affair. We're going to have a lot of flair out there.
A lot of passion, I suspect.
There will be a lot of passion.
Now, we've seen some really good volleyball from both of these squads. Of course, the Cuban outfit were really, really tested last night by an emerging young team in the Australian Volleyroos. They were taken deep into 4 sets, winning the 4th set 27-25. So for the team from Cuba, they absolutely didn't have it all their own way. Both of these squads, if we're being frank, were well beaten by the Croatian outfit, who are, as you saw before on screen, leading this group at the moment. So this is really the battle for who is the second best team in this pool, in my view. Will it be the team from Colombia? Will it be the team from Cuba? Interestingly, and we are still looking, we've noticed potentially the number 4 for Cuba, Vargas, may not be suited up. So we think that Cuba will play with maybe one less player on their roster. There's possibly an injury there that we're not aware of. Vargas started the tournament really, really well, went a bit missing last night against the Australians and was taken off the court at the end of the third set and did not reappear. So we are just trying to confirm if possibly Cuba are playing with one athlete down. That is the Colombian squad there.
And she's a big out. She's a big out, by the way, for Cuba.
Amazing that we're talking about a 16-year-old as being a big out, but, you know, fantastic scenes nonetheless here in the Bendigo Volley Dome. For the last match for these two teams in Australia, of course, Colombia, we've seen them before. They came out to Australia last year and made lots of friends, lots of fans with their delightful demeanour and the way they go about not just their volleyball, but the way they hold themselves in public. They are a delightful squad, Colombia. And the Cubans, well, we're just getting to know them. A great young emerging squad, only an average age of 21 and a half. So Cuba, a very, very young squad compared to the Colombians, average age of 25 and a half. So a bit of a gulf in experience and years there between these two squads.
And a quick shout out to the Bendigo community who have really got behind this event. I was watching some of the games from other parts of the world overnight, and I tell you what, they would die to have the sorts of crowds we're having at our event over this weekend. So well done to Bendigo. It is a sporting capital of Australia, one of the sporting capitals of Australia, so fantastic to see them turning out and supporting international volleyball.
We heart Bendigo, so we are getting ready now for the formalities. We're going to start, of course, with the anthems. We're going to start with Cuba. There it is, the Cuban national anthem. Now all eyes turn to the squad for Colombia, and these ladies do get into it. Well, there you have it. I told you, Ross Solly, that they get into it. The Colombian squad, they've earned so much admiration here in Australia, not just about the way they play the game, but the pride they have in their jersey, and it resonates during the anthem. Great scenes, great voices, a great moment.
I took the headphones off so that I could fully appreciate the sound, and it's not a packed stadium, but their singing was bouncing around this stadium. It was fantastic to see. I'm really looking forward to this match. I think there could be a lot of passion out there. I am a little bit worried that the Cubans might be a little bit flat, even though they won last night. I got the sense watching them after the match and talking to their captain and seeing them this morning at breakfast, they looked a little bit flat.
They were a bit dour last night, weren't they? Here are the referees. First referee from Ukraine, Viktor Kozlovsky. Congratulations on his appointment. Second referee is from Japan, Yuka Kitamura. So, well done to the officials for their appointments for this match number 11 of Group 3 of the World Grand Prix. You are in Bendigo, Australia, in country Victoria, one of the real heartlands of the sport of volleyball in Australia. Volleyball has been played here in Bendigo for over 50 years and is a small but mighty local association. But for now, all eyes turn to these two international squads. Here is the lineups. You can see Kenny, the veteran, Rangai, Montano, Conio, Zuleta Garcia, and the captain Marin being introduced to the audience. There's Cuba, Santos, Alvarez, Casano, Rodriguez, captain, and Lescay. So there are the lineups. Not too many surprises there.
Kenny, for those who haven't been watching, Kenny has been a bit of a standout this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing her play again. She's very much been the go-to player, hasn't she, for Colombia this weekend? And I think she'll again get a power of work tonight.
Yeah, the 37-year-old being introduced to the crowd now, the number 3, has really been so solid for them when they've needed someone to get them out of a bit of trouble for Colombia. Now, if you're looking at the squads, you'll see the athlete with the alternate jersey, that is the libero, the defensive specialist, so you'll see them come and go in a purely defensive role. Camilla, the libero for the Colombians. And for Cuba, the libero is Borrell.
So what are you expecting here, Jonathan Fogarty? Are we expecting a bit of a slap them down, knock them down affair here, a slugfest, or because we have got two very attacking sides here who do like to throw caution to the wind?
It's hard to tell which mindset they're going to come into this game with. I think it's an important game. It's their last game, obviously, in the pool here in Australia. Neither of them can finish the pool at number 1 based on for and against and how Croatia have gone.
They're playing for second, aren't they?
Absolutely, second place is actually really important. So I think there's lots to play for. We are going to get underway through the 5 from Cuba. We are underway here. Colombia v Cuba. First point on the hard-driven ball. The number 7, Madeline, she was absolutely one of their best attackers for Colombia in the first 2 games. So she'll be a lady that Cuba will have kept an eye on through their scouting. So number 7 and number 3 are the 2 real power hitters for Colombia. Alvarez, the 19. And she was the lady that really broke Australian hearts last night, the 19 from Cuba. Alvarez hitting out of that position 2. She crushed a couple down the line that were frightening for the Australian defence. I'm sure Colombia will be awake to her abilities today. Big jump serve.
Good work there from the libero, though. Oh, just rolls along the top of the net and clips the, well, doesn't clip, rolls straight into the antenna, so no doubt about that. And as soon as that ball hits the antenna, that is a loss of point there. So it came off the Cuban hand, of course, so it's a Colombian point. They take an early break, 2-1 in this important match. As Jonathan mentioned, they are playing for second place. Whoever wins this match will take a second place. And then, of course, they head to all parts of the world. Colombia head back to Colombia, where they'll be hosting, amongst others, they'll be hosting Australia, and also Kazakhstan and Mexico are heading to Colombia. Some of the other teams are heading to Peru.
To Peru?
Yes, to do the second week of the World Grand Prix. So really is a true international competition, this World Grand Prix. It's fantastic for women's volleyball.
Don't they put in some miles, Ross Solly? It is a well-travelled, well-seasoned team at the end of these events. Only big difference for Cuba's lineup today compared to what they've put out on the court to start previous matches. The number 20, Rodriguez is starting for Cuba. She seems to be in the place of...
And Vargas is gone.
Vargas is gone, so still no report on what's happened there. Free ball's coming over Colombia. Going to send it out to Amanda, the 20. But a nice, high, strong block.
I mean, interestingly, Jonathan, normally teams, even if someone's not playing, they'll be on the bench. I don't think she's even on the extended bench for Cuba, so
no,
she maybe hasn't even come to
so
not even come even to the venue, maybe.
Maybe at home in front of the Foxtel. Back at the hotel, we are serving Cuba leading 4-2. They are in the white, Colombia in the red. Ball going down the front of the block. For Colombia, they have stuck with their tried and tested starting six that they've used for most of this tournament. There's Kenny, one of our players to watch, of course. Cuba, for aficionados of the sport of volleyball, were absolutely the team of the 90s in women's volleyball. They won 3 consecutive Olympics, an amazing feat, winning in 92 the gold, 96, and then of course Sydney 2000 they were the gold medalists. They are a vastly different squad today. As we talked a bit about Ross Solly, they are in a rebuilding phase, and their average age we talk about being just over 21, so that speaks of a young squad.
And Colombia, by contrast, are very much minnows in terms of world women's volleyball, but they showed by almost qualifying for the Rio Olympics this year that they have the nucleus there of a decent squad. They're very well coached. They're very well captained. Like every other team here, Jonathan, they are focused on Tokyo 2020, and that is why they're all playing some very young squads. A lot of 16-year-olds playing this weekend, and they're hopefully going to be the nucleus of their sides going into the next Olympic campaign. Feels funny talking about the next Olympics campaign when this one's still underway.
It's almost upon us, absolutely. Yep. And what's interesting about the way the teams approach this World Grand Prix is generally the teams have squads of 22, 24 players. Then they've got to decide on sort of the 14 or so that they take to the various countries. So as we've seen in previous editions of the World Grand Prix, sometimes they'll leave some of their absolute premier players out. That's going to hurt some of their premier players at home. So for both these squads, there are athletes training back at their home base that will swap out for the next round. That is a punishing block back into...
I think it was Melissa up there who got most of that block.
Absolutely, back in...
tall young lady.
Back into the captain of Cuba's face. That's not nice at all. She's going to get a chance to reply. No, they go through the middle. Through Lesquet, the 6. The middle blocker. 184 centimetres tall Lesquet. She's only 23 years of age, so still in the ascendancy of her volleyball development, I'm sure. This is Kenny at 37 years of age, is defying time, absolutely defying the years.
She really just got into the zone for that one, and that was set up perfectly. Beautiful set. Look at that. It had it laid on a plate for her. She had a 2-person block in front of her, but managed to get straight around. That went cross court, and that was a very impressive spike for Kenny. Who's been impressive all weekend.
She has been impressive all weekend, and almost Colombia's best player, if not their best player. But what I found really interesting, Ross Solly, we've seen her spike a lot over the 3 matches, and she always goes cross court and always gets it inside the double block. I would almost be telling the Cuban block, if I were their coach, to set further inside and open that line up and challenge her to hit that line, because she has not done it once all weekend. I'm not saying she can't hit that ball hard down the line, but we just haven't asked it of her. They set and open up that cross court for her, and she's been super effective. So we go to our first technical timeout, a very close scoreboard. 8-7 currently the score. We have Colombia and Cuba in action. Of course, folks, In volleyball, we get 2 technical timeouts when the first team gets to 8 points and the first team gets to 16 points. It is an automatic timeout. Head coach of Colombia, World Grand Prix, and had a beautiful clash of cultures moment yesterday, Rossoli, with Eduardo Jalam, the Colombian coach. Someone brought him a pie in the coffee shop here, a very Australian dietary staple, the pie.
Yeah.
And the look of joy on his face when he worked out how to squeeze the tomato sauce out of the sachet onto the pie was delightful. I've never seen someone enjoy their first Australian pie. Well, haven't for a very long time.
I hope that you didn't ask the embarrassing question like a lot of Australians often do, is what is in this pie?
Oh, look, some things are best left unspoken.
You've got to have a little bit of a mystery, a bit of air of mystery about what you're consuming with an Australian pie.
Australian big pie, absolutely. Yeah. We're underway again. Kenny, the veteran, serving, and the block is.
See, they've blocked well, haven't they?
Solid.
They have blocked very, very well early on, and that's Madeline, who really has a great all-round game, but that's 2 or 3 big blocks now for Colombia. In your face Cuba, they're saying.
Absolutely. This is quite a tall setup with the 2 blockers there at the moment. Madeline and her partner in blocking, getting out there and setting a nice high block. This one's going to go away, but Madeline at 186. And Melissa at 193, who is the tallest of the girls on the Colombian outfit. So this is one of their best blocking setups when those 2 girls set next to each other. But on that occasion, Cuba took a bit of pace off the ball, played smart, so they serve. 1 point down, Cuba trailing 8-9. That's Madeline again, taking the pace off the ball.
Yeah, she's having a good impact early on for the Colombians. Cubans probably a little bit leg weary after last night. I mean, it wasn't a 5-setter, but it was certainly a tough affair, wasn't it?
It was nearly 2 hours. I mean, it went nearly 2 hours. You know, any time you've got to get to sort of 27-25 on a couple of occasions to win a set, you know, it's not a walkover by any means. So yeah, absolutely. The Cuban girls
again.
Whoa, Vitessa, Madeline started.
She is having a ball out there.
She must have a plane to catch or something. She seems in a hurry to get out of here. The way she's attacking this ball, look at that. Loses her footing a little bit, but it didn't matter. The job was done. You never like seeing the athletes fall, especially up near the net. Ankles and knees are quite. You're a bit nervous about seeing the athletes land badly, but all good. Cuba now 9-11, they trail by 2. We play point per rally, folks. Every time the ball is served, someone gets a point. Nice hard-driven ball through the middle by Casanova, the 17.
I think yesterday, watching the Colombians play, there's a couple of good blocks there from the Cubans.
Ball's gone out. The desperation was great from Colombia.
Yeah, watching the Colombians yesterday, I think one of the things we noticed, Jonathan, was their lack of consistency and their inability to string together a set. You know, they were very, very good for moments, but the Croatians basically had it over them for most of the game. It'd be interesting to see if they can hold it together for an entire set today.
Here comes Madeline. Takes a little bit of pace off the jump serve, eases it into play. The back row attack was untouched by the block. Alvarez, the 19 from Cuba, just dragging that ball down into the tape, so I think we will see a timeout called. The coach of Colombia slightly unimpressed with that little, sorry, the Cuban coach, I beg your pardon, Roberto Garcia, not super happy with how it goes. He's quite animated over there in the huddle. Of course, Garcia was the Cuban men's team head coach from 2004 through 2007. And he took them to a bronze in the FIVB Volleyball World League. This is the Colombian coach looking a bit more composed. Yeah, it was an interesting lady back to the after winning a very close four-setter against the home nation, and you know they looked hangdog, didn't they? They were not happy with their performance, although they'd won.
Well, they were already conscious of what was in store for them today, because when I spoke to the coach and the captain after the match and reminded them of their obligations to do a quick news conference, that's delightful. Fruit for the sideboard.
Rodriguez has melted one.
Yes, they were very odd. We've got an early start tomorrow. Do we really need to go? And I said, well, yeah, you do. So, sorry. In my best possible Spanish.
Sí, por favor. Great setting from the Cuban Hernandez on that occasion. One of the little idiosyncrasies of the sport of volleyball, the serve can contact the net on the way through, and absolutely changes the skills required. You said catch the net, and all of the athletes are ready for the sort of the harder ball to hit them on the arms, and all of a sudden all the pace comes out of the ball. You've got to come forward, you've got to react quickly, so no let court. 11-13 now, Cuba. Serving well, getting a free ball opportunity. The back set's going to go to that girl again. That ball has hit the floor, so Rodriguez has
stepped up all of a sudden.
Has stepped up. She's added something to the squad. We talked about her having not been in any of the starting sixes for Cuba this weekend.
She's 187 centimetres tall. She's the second tallest player in the Cuban squad, but we haven't really talked to her about her, or we haven't seen much of her this weekend at all, have we? So she's obviously been given the job today to step up and take over in the absence of the 16-year-old Vargas, who's not here, we believe, and not in the stadium at all. So Rodriguez is the one who's now stepped up, and a couple of good, strong points for her.
No, absolutely. This is the first game this year that she's started in for Cuba, so she's made every opportunity a winner. That whiteboard cops at workout, does he? I'm sorry, Ross.
Yeah, no, I was about to say, what has just happened is woken the Colombian coach from his slumber, and all of a sudden he's now very animated after being quite relaxed early on.
I think the smell of those whiteboard pens often can really arouse the nostrils, so no doubt that's why they were flaring.
Good to see in this day and age someone still using a whiteboard too.
Isn't it good? That's old school, kids.
Yep.
That is not a device. Oh, good blocking. Go, go, go. That is a great effort from Madeline. Not to be, though. So Cuba.
And if Gualam was upset at the timeout, he's going to be even more upset now, because his players were left scrambling then. And
who would be a whiteboard marker? That tip is going to be under some pressure, I'd imagine.
13 all, and all of a sudden the Cubans are
back in it
with a bit of a momentum, yeah.
Oh, that's good setting. That is
sailing through the middle.
Good setting. The Colombian captain and setter, Maria Alejandra Marin. We loved seeing her play last year when she was in Australia, and she's absolutely picked the eyes out of this one, drew the middle blocker, and then set a beautiful ball for the back row attack. Unfortunately, her serving colleague couldn't turn it into service pressure. So 14 all. That's what we wanted to see. So at least they made Kenny do something different on that occasion. They set the block slightly more inside, and they said, if you're good enough, get it down the line. Now she's caught the sideline, that's okay, but they've made her do something different. Look where the 5 sets up, much further inside.
Pick the gap.
She absolutely slotted. I thought it was closer to the sideline, but she actually did a really nice job.
Oh dear.
Wow, Lorena with the mischief maker. The Cuban girls were hypnotised. It was a Cinderella. Yep. They ran away from the ball.
Yep.
That is unforgivable. We actually used to call that one the campfire ball, Ross Solly, because everyone was sitting around the campfire watching it land in between them.
And making sure that it doesn't spill out. It doesn't spill out and burn their toes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a disappointing way for the Cubans to go to the timeout. Let's have a listen to this.
May need to get some fresh paint on the walls here in the Bendigo Volleydome if Roberto Garcia keeps up those impassioned speeches during the timeouts. Technical timeout number 2, done and dusted. Colombia 16, Cuba 14. There's the captain, Maria Alejandra, the 15. She's the setter. She drives them around the park. Of course, a lot of the Bendigo faithful have come out. Match after this one will be the Hello World Volleyroos, the hometown girls. Last chance to see them in Australia for a while, so they'll be coming out in big numbers for them. But back to the current action, the number 6, Lorena, 192 centimetres tall. Wow. I'm pretty sure someone should have attempted a block there. Colombia were grounded in the fog here at Bendigo this morning.
Yeah, both teams in the last couple of points have made some pretty basic errors and it looked a little bit lethargic.
And Kenny sort of ducked ahead. She thought this could get ugly.
Yeah.
That is an absolute mental error from Colombia, unlike them. Nice quick attack though, they respond. Haven't seen a lot of Melissa through the middle yet. As I said, she's their tallest athlete at 193. So she's a lady that needs to be injected a lot into the offense if she's going to.
Interesting there that the captain was about to serve from the right-hand side of the court, but the coach just signalled her over, come over this side, serve from this side. So there's a strategy there that he's got for the serve.
And he's giving Kenny Kenny's looking at him going, who am I blocking? I didn't get my hands up in time again, but they were lucky the ball went out. So Cuba really trying to stretch the Colombian block. Which way is Santos going to go? She goes behind again. This time it's not a hard-driven ball. Kenny will line up.
Oh, good block.
It was a good block.
Good block from the number 6. That's Lascan, who's a fair amount. She's got a lot of height about her too, but there was no way past there for Kenny. Again, Jonathan, she tried to go cross court, like you said, and at that time the Cubans read her, and they were ready for it. So that was well telegraphed by you.
They've set up in a better position for mine, so I like that. We'll see if Kenny goes down the line on her next opportunity. She's over in that other position now, position 2. Madeline with a handset will get an opportunity. Much better blocking from Cuba in that position. I'm much happier with that. Madeline will put a free ball over Cuba to convert the opportunity. Through 19 does a very, very nice job indeed. So that's better. They've kind of got their structure back. Alvarez, the 19, after some good blocking.
There's not a lot to a lot of these points, is there, Jonathan? We certainly haven't had a game blessed with long rallies so far and a lot of endeavour. They're all over pretty darn quick. There's not a lot of scrambling going on out there.
17-18, Amanda takes a serve reception to Madeline. Oh, snap. That's such a pure sound as well when she gets her timing and her leap and her wrist snap perfect like that. Madeline brings it down pretty sharply. The defense from Cuba in good positions, but just sometimes it's got too much heat on it. This will be Kenny to jump serve.
Well, they were doing very well with the block. The Cubans tried a couple of different approaches. In the end, Rodriguez is trying to split the difference, and that was what was required. So after a little bit of a brain snap, the Colombians back getting their defence sorted out there.
They've made their first substitution of the afternoon. Margarita comes on and replaces the veteran Kenny. We saw that a little bit yesterday. Those two athletes there, she's on screen now, the 19, Margarita, a very distinctive haircut. She's hard to miss. So Colombia first and 20, so 2018. Remember, folks, we played at 25. The first team that gets to 25 points with a 2-point margin will win this first set. Good pickup from the captain.
That was lazy. And Ghulam just shakes his head. What's going on, he says. How long have we worked on that at training for?
And that's the rotation where the libero is not on the court for Colombia, so normally you would see if the setter has to take the first ball, usually then it's the libero's responsibility to try and get in and take the second. But when you don't have the libero on court, all of a sudden all the spikers are wondering who wants to take responsibility. So
been a scrappy first set, hasn't it? There haven't been many big highlights. It's just two teams who are involved in a bit of a duelist struggle at the moment.
Well, this is Madeline. She's got a terrific jump serve.
She has been a bit of a spark. And
boom. There she goes.
She has had a very, very, very good first set.
22-17 now. Colombia leading by 3. Substitution sees Alvarez come off for Cuba. Great serve. And a good response as well. That was such a clever serve and a powerful one from Madeline. Cuba made the substitution, brought on their number 2, Garcia Gonzalez, to serve, receive, and the serve went straight to her. Pass wasn't good enough, and Colombia made the most of their opportunity. So good signs for Colombia. They are 23-19 leaders, only 2 points away from the first set. The Colombian group split in 2. Roberto Garcia about to split in 2.
I think so, and he's taken the captain aside there and singled her out, just giving her a bit of an indication about, I think, setting technique, which is interesting. But we saw last night, and on the first night, the Cubans can be very quick to drop their heads, Jonathan, and they just look like they dropped them a little bit at the moment. And that's a task for the coaching staff now to keep their heads up, because, you know, 23-19, but it is the first set. We've got a long way to go in this match. You can't just throw the towel in at this stage of the game.
Here goes Madeline again with that wonderful jump serve, just misses the sideline. 20-23. So Cuba need to get on a bit of a run. Lesquet comes back onto the front court, but it will be the 17 for Cuba. Casanova, as we've variously called her at times.
You have. You just keep butchering.
By we, I mean me. I think that was Amanda, the 20, bringing up the set point, 24-20. So we'll see Kenny come back on. Margarita will not get a front court opportunity. She's done her job well, and a thumbs up and a high five from the coaching staff. We see Colombia at the baseline with a 24-20 scoreboard. So this is a 4 set point situation. Amanda, the 19-year-old, to serve for the set. Tags the net on the way through. Cuba to respond.
Yeah, Rodriguez has been good. She has been good tonight, called on and stepping into the role of opposite or outside hitter there, and just driving that one into the one-person wall. Kenny was the wall, so it was quite a significant wall, but that flew out over the side. Yeah.
So there's still 3 set points on the board, so the pressure is on Rodriguez, who's come on as a substitute to serve to save the set. Big jump serve too. Colombia deal with it pretty well. Madeline's handled. Oh, it's
that is a great scramble by the... Oh!
But Kenny takes it downtown on the first try. And Colombia, 25, have taken the first set over Cuba, 21. And they are very, very pleased about that.
Well, they deserved to win that set. They were the better side for the majority of it. The Cubans were trying very, very hard to keep in touch. But the Colombians much more settled, I think, and much more relaxed out here today. I think the Cubans, as we mentioned in the lead up to that set, maybe a little bit leg weary, but she was good, Kenny. I thought Madeline was outstanding for the Colombians. As the coach, he was pumped. He's shed a couple of kilos that set.
Eduardo Jolan, yes, it's all of the coaches, though they have variously different characters, they all kind of appear to ride every point and do it tough, don't they? It seems to be an emotionally difficult job being the coach of one of these squads. So there are the set scores so far, 25-21 in 26 minutes. We're seeing some of the highlights. Kenny the number 3 from Colombia, was quite dominant, particularly early. Madeline was very good. That was a nice play when Rodriguez was unchallenged at the net. You see Madeline, the 7, doing a good job. So Kenny kept going cross-court, cross-court, cross-court. They eventually adjusted and she hit one down the line. This time it was Madeline blocking. The Cuban fans were dancing. They didn't dance after this hard-driven ball from the back row from Madeline. She can hit from different parts on court. She blocks well. And this is the set point where Kenny was just pushing them out of the way. She's saying, let me have it. Give the ball to me and I'll hit the winner. So calm and positive in the Colombian huddle. Here are the stats. That first set, Colombia, of course, 25-21. Aces equal. Colombia with 3 more attacks. And no surprise they won the set with more attacks and less errors. Cuba got a few more blocks.
And those stats, of course, only show blocks where they win a point. I think the Colombians were quite effective with the block without winning points, but they certainly shut down a lot of the Cuban attack, I think, with good, effective defensive work. They look like they're here to play today, the Colombians. I think they were very disappointed with the way yesterday's match went against Croatia, losing 3-0. And really, I think more than anything, just been a bit upset with the way they played out the game. They just lacked any consistency throughout. You certainly couldn't say that about that set. I thought that they were good from the start. They didn't really let up. The Cubans challenged them at mid-set and came back and levelled up for a little while, but the Colombians always seem to have the answers. And I just like, you look at their team list, Jonathan, and they've got a couple of players there who are going to step up. And I mean, Kenny is, with her experience and with her agility, is outstanding. Madeline has been fantastic. And I think Marin, the captain, as the setter and just the person on point duty out there, has got the team well and truly under control. So it's a good nucleus for a side there, and I think that showed out in that first set.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Just looking at the 2 rosters to see if any obvious changes have been made. Cuba still going with the same lineup that started the first set, so the coach hasn't pulled the trigger on anyone yet.
6-19.
And it looks that Colombia have trotted out the same starting 6. Just having a conversation about whether the Colombian roster are in the correct rotation. All good. Okay, we are ready to go. So,
is that what they were talking about there? Was it just to make sure everything was lined up? It wasn't. Do you want the veal tonight for dinner, or
beef or chicken?
Pasta, because you've got a long flight tomorrow.
You don't want those carbs.
Yep.
Oh no, it's a big issue. We are underway again. This is the captain of Colombia. Second set has started. Dropping
sneaky little
serve.
First up.
Rodriguez to just chop one over. Back set asked too many questions of Madeline. Rodriguez. No one wants to have a spike yet to start the second set. I know Kenny will have a swing, not a big one from her normal standards. Rodriguez surely will tee off.
She thought there was a touch, but I think she's been a little bit optimistic.
No, I look.
There was a touch, yeah, there was.
She's got such an honest face.
Yes, she has.
How could you question? No, they all do. It's always 50-50. You think, as the spiker, that the blocker's touched it, and you can often hear the noise of the ball brushing the hands because you're quite close to it, but it's not always easy to spot for the officials. So on that occasion, the serve going out, so 1 point all. Of course, Colombia taking the first set. Folks, we play the best of 5 sets. To win this match, you need to win 3 sets of volleyball. So as an old coach of mine used to say after you drop the first set, we came here to win 3 sets. We've still got to win 3 sets. Let's start the game now. So for Cuba, that's got to be their attitude. Oh, that's such a shame for Amanda. She knew when she hit that ball into the block, the ball's actually then going to go out. But you can't dematerialise. Well, I can't. I don't think she can either. So she's trying to get out of the way. But she's the last person to touch the ball, so the point goes to Cuba.
Your coach was very wise. It wasn't Mark Twain, was it?
It was his uncle. Same era.
Yes.
Played with a rock.
Very wise words indeed. The Cubans a bit more spring about them in this set, and that is a good result. Good result for...
And interesting, Maddie Enzo, the 18, we haven't really talked about her in the first set, so possibly even her first kill of the match, unconfirmed, but certainly Maddie Enzo as...
She was so important last night, wasn't she?
She was.
In the win over Australia, and just being that solid presence there, and they need her to stand up. And there's another...
Come on,
yep.
Says Lescaille, the middle blocker, just letting her know. I do love the chirp and the talk and the noise between the two squads, and Maddie Enzo just yelling through the net on the back end of that. You know, it's not trash talk as such, but it's just, you know, letting the opposition know that they've made an error. Ball off the top of Maddie Enzo's hands and out. She's wringing her hands a little bit, that ball.
Cuban coach is ripping into... Cuban coach is giving poor old Casanova absolutely...
He's following her off.
He's making sure she goes to the bench and don't come back. I don't know.
Don't come back with that attitude, young lady.
I don't know what more she was supposed to do. And now he's talking to the assistant coach. He's like, can you believe that? Can you believe what we just saw?
That she didn't get a roof block on that one occasion. Go to your room. That was that face. It was the go to your room face.
Oh, dear.
It is good fun.
Unless you're on the receiving end. That was nice work from Rodriguez. We haven't seen much of her all weekend, as we said, but she's come out tonight and she's showing that she deserves, because these teams are all heading off for a second week of Grand Prix, so a chance for players like Rodriguez to make an impact and maybe get a starting gig at their next weekend in Peru, I think the Cubans will be.
Yep, that'll be a good trip for them. Such a great...
Poor set, and now he's...
Oh, we're going to see some...
Roberto Garcia.
Changes, yeah.
You make a mistake and you're straight off, and now...
Yeah. She's not going to make eye contact with the coach on the way. This is a very poor skill error, and she knew it.
Here we go.
No eye contact will be made between Rodriguez and the coach. She's just going to walk straight over to the naughty corner as well. I'm not feeling the love in the Volley Dome today, I've got to be honest.
There's not a lot of love there.
I'm feeling uncomfortable sitting here.
He's given two of his players an absolute bollocking.
Hello to all of the people in Cuba enjoying the telecast, of course.
He's still giving them to him. They've just won a big point and he's still giving them a... Did you hear me the first time? And if you didn't, ask anyone in the stadium, they can let you know what I said.
Lescaille hitting a really good middle attack.
What do you reckon the message would be to the rest of the players out there on the court at the moment?
Do better, please, ladies. Good blocking. Lescaille, there's a lady who can hold her head up nice and high. The 6, couple of good middle blocks. The spike, she got a smile on her face.
Yes.
Once again, Lescaille, the middle blocker. Interesting, the setter for Cuba, the number 5 in Hernandez. She shows no emotion. She's got this poker face. She's just part of a big double block. Just doesn't bat an eyelid. Oh, Margarita for her first kill of the match. That's better. And interestingly, Margarita and Kenny on court together. Normally, they are the two that swap for each other. But Margarita and Kenny are both out there.
I hope our cameras at the timeout that's about to happen, I hope our cameras go to the Cuban huddle because I would like to just tap in and hear a little bit of that emotion, because I think it could be quite colourful.
I would point out that Cuba are leading 7-4 in this set, so, you know, it's not quite a crisis for Cuba. Oh,
that's going to help.
See, that's
going to help the mood.
And once again, it's that number 6 in Lescaille. She's been absolutely on fire. Let's see what the Roberto Garcia show brings us at this time out.
Here we go.
Oye, hazte respetar. Lady Margarita, no se puede hacer eso, tienes que botarla del terreno.
Sometimes you don't need
No, no
words.
te rías, que es así.
shouldn't laugh. I'm not laughing. This is
not
the
a laughing
passion.
matter.
This is passion.
The passion of the game is delightful.
Yeah.
What the only thing I picked out, he did mention Margarita by name. He did name check her, so
yeah.
Obviously he's going to ask them to watch the outside hit of the 19 from Colombia. Do better.
No, I said before the match that I'm looking forward to this hot-blooded Latin American affair, and we are certainly getting that.
You asked for it, Ross.
I did ask for it, yes.
It's been dialed up a notch.
Yeah.
All right, well, I hope wherever you are watching this broadcast all around the world that you're enjoying this match in the World Grand Prix. Cuba 8 leading Colombia 4 in the second set, although Colombia 25-21 took the first set quite well. But it is Cuba with a 4-point lead at the moment. This is Lesque, who's been the best player in the second set. She's gone back to the service line. And they miss her at the net, I suspect. So Burrell, the libero, will come on for her. Casanova, the 17, the outside, or the middle blocker on this occasion, just didn't get there at all. She was still floating out. Lorena made them pay. This is her at the service line. 5-8.
Nice work
The
there.
lefty. Gonzalez.
Garcia, yeah. She's been a bit quiet, but just floats in every now and then, and that was a great set for her, and she just did the easy work to fit. Well, I say easy work, still with her.
Maybe her first kill of the match as well. We haven't seen her up to this point. This is the setter, the number 5, serving a tough dropping serve.
Yes.
And again, her face is just absolutely bland. I don't want to play poker against this lady. She's just served an ace. Cool as you like. I'll just walk back. Nice serving from Yamila Hernandez-Santos, the 23-year-old. So we focus now on Eduardo Julan, the Colombian coach. We go back to Roberto Garcia.
Anyone who wants to tell me that these Grand Prix events do not mean too much to these teams, have a look at those two huddles then. Two coaches who were absolutely going off like a sack full of angry ferrets they were, and they were just ripping into their players. It's so great to see this passion, isn't it?
It's absolutely authentic is the point that I made.
Absolutely.
And you see again, that's a tribute to the adjustment that the Cuban block has made on Kenny. Now she's second-guessing herself. She's gone for way too much angle. The next time Kenny hits the ball, she needs to just go high and hard off hands. She's absolutely overcooked that one. A couple of errors in a row. She'll get an opportunity to fix it. High and hard off hands it is. She'll get an opportunity. Oh, that's a shame.
Dear.
Margarita, I think...
If Gulam was unhappy before, he's going to be absolutely ropeable. I expect to see a substitution coming up very soon. In fact, here we go. There you go.
And Margarita...
Yeah.
like a pizza flat out on the court.
Was she ever, yeah. She was like a pizza missing the key ingredient there, I thought.
This is not her ball to play.
Send it back to the kitchen because we're missing something from here.
Yeah, I think she's absolutely sharked Camilla, the libero, who was going to devour that ball. So she's given a spell, and the setter for Cuba continues this nice little serving groove that she's in. Middle attack, Madeline puts a halt to that. She said, I've had enough, come on, give me the ball. And that's what I like about Madeline. She's one of those athletes that wants the ball coming to her. She's lining up, get out of my way, ladies. I'm coming through. Getting it done. That's nice play from the Colombian. They trail 6-12 though, so that was a good run for Cuba. Open up a bit of a lead.
Ooh, right off the top of the box.
Right.
That's not a bad effort, is it?
Casanova, she's a good leaper. Casanova. At 184, she's about 6'1", 6'1 and a half, so she's a tall lady, but what I like about her is she still puts in a full jump. She doesn't skimp on the effort. Cuba 13-6. Oh, what a pickup from Burrell, the libero. Oh, the lefty lefty. And all of a sudden, the Cuban coach rejoices. There you go. That's exactly what he was looking for. The pick-up was great from Burrell, the libero, and then the lefty swings it clean and pure cross court.
He still looks like someone's put Vegemite on his steering wheel.
A very local reference.
Yes.
Well-handled jump serve. Madeline.
Calling the touch there.
Going to tag the block.
Yeah. This is a test of, we were talking about the consistency of Colombia and can they string together. And now the captain's been sent over to have a word to the...
So what's happening there is the captain's going to come over and tell the coach to cool his jets a little bit, is I think what the warning is. So the captain's actually, I believe, been advised that the coach is being now more closely monitored for his behaviour. Well, I know.
It's hard to believe.
I'm as aghast as you are, Ross Sully.
I hope he doesn't have to temper his...
That'll be that's called touch. Wow, he's keeping a lid on it. All right.
Yep.
So Colombia just closing the gap, 8-14. Still a 6-point lead to Cuba. This is Kenny from the service line, the 37-year-old. Picking her service target. Oh, no second effort from Cuba. So here's a chance for Rodriguez.
She's been let out of the bedroom. She's been allowed back down.
Out of the naughty corner.
She can join the dinner table again, but only if she hits her greens.
Your attitude improves, young lady.
Yes.
It seems tough. So she's going to come on. And that whole period of time, she did not make eye contact with Roberto Garcia once.
Despite having a step. Garcia's 2 points got played and he refused to watch the play. He was just staring at his player.
Matienzo, the captain.
Yeah. Steps up now.
Importantly for Cuba, in my view, the best player so far today for them, and Lescay comes back on for the libero in the front court. So they're back to one of their really strong setups. Casanova to serve, Cuba leading 15-9.
Have you had advice that is how she's...
Not a thing.
No.
Boom. There you go. She's going to look at... Oh, no. The free ball came over and she's buried it, but she touched the net. And Roberto Garcia is absolutely melting in front of me. You had one job. That's what he's saying in Cuban. You had one job. I brought you on. And you've drilled the tape on that free ball.
All right, it's not. Poor girl. We talked earlier on about how she's been given an opportunity and she's got to grasp it with both hands, and she's just seen it now. There you go.
Let's go.
She is the impenetrable wall tonight for Cuba.
She's been absolutely great.
Absolutely outstanding. And whenever Cuba has needed somebody to stand up, oh dear.
We'll see the block here from Lescay.
Está funcionando el bloqueo, está funcionando el ataque. Que no es esa bobería.
I think what he was saying there, and we were watching him while the highlights were up there, he was sort of giving the indication that you can't block when you've got your hands down by your sides. So maybe get your hands up, get in the front of the ball and see if you can stop it coming over the net. Simple things. It's a simple game though, Jonathan, isn't it? With simple techniques.
These ladies under immense pressure. A young squad representing a proud nation. They walk in the shadows of giants. To be a Cuban women's volleyballer is to be born with 3 Olympic gold chips on your shoulder in many ways. They have to be aware of their heritage. They have to be aware of their history, and that was a very special time. And Cuba are trying to find the secret to get back to that sort of ability.
Right, a great block there by... We haven't seen a lot this set from the Colombians in terms of blocking the Cuban attack, but that was a very, very effective block. I think it was
Lorena. I think Lorena gets most of this, the middle blocker.
Yeah.
That Lorena-Madeline combination, the 6 and the 7 together. A very solid blocking wall. Oh, and the serve from Madeline was very nasty. Matienzo's going to have to put a free ball over. They're queuing up here for Colombia. And that's all on the back of a wonderful jump serve from Madeline, the 7. Brings up 12, 16. She's absolutely put Cuba on the back foot.
And Jonathan, you talk about the pressure on the players, but you want to know why the coaches are animated, because you have a short shelf life as a coach if your team's not performing. And Roberto Garcia has been given the task to try and lift women's volleyball in Cuba and make them a force again. If they're not performing and they're watching at home or they're analysing these results and they don't think these women are playing, the first person that's going to go is going to be the coach.
Sure.
Always is. It's a sad reflection of sport. It doesn't only happen in Cuba, it happens all over the world. In any sporting contest, the coach seems to be easily expendable. That's not going to help his mood one bit.
Amanda. So, you're absolutely right. Colombia now coming back, closing the gap to 4. But Cuba are still in control. They just need one good side out. Unlike Lescay on that occasion, didn't seal the block. She was a little bit off the net, so the ball came down the front of it. Alvarez to try and find a winner, gets it done. Didn't really give her setter a lot of opportunity to do much else. But that's the point they needed, 18-13.
She's
so
been
let's
quiet.
go.
We haven't called her much at all tonight, have we?
Not at all. This is Lescay to serve.
That,
Cuba.
by the way, may be more a reflection of our call rather than how she's
than her
playing.
capabilities.
Yes.
You make a fair point.
But we called her a lot. We called this young lady a lot tonight. Oh,
that's a back row attack called out. I thought she'd hit a clean winner, but it's just missed as I look at the replay. The takeoff was fine.
They didn't arc up too much, though, the Colombians.
And Matienzo shows them how it's done, but no, she's missed as well. Oh, no, she's been called for a back row. So the signal from the referee there, it doesn't really matter where the ball lands. If she puts her foot on that line, the 3-metre line, or over it, she's instantly taken off from the wrong place. So you'll see where she leaps from. You may be able to see it from the replay. A bit hard to tell, but she took off with her foot on the line. That is an illegal attack, so the point instantly goes to the opposition. That is the best set of the match.
Fantastic.
That is absolutely breathtaking. Hernandez, and she again just poker-faced. I'm just going to serve some nectar of the gods here. Kenny is absolutely stooged. And the 17 in Casanova is absolutely bounced that ball up into the rafters. Good defense from Burrell, the libero, gives an opportunity for the 20. Gosh, we want her to hit a winner. She's going to be out of position now, so she won't get it. Colombia hanging tough. It's going to be a back row attack for Madeline. Off the block.
Good rally. We haven't had a lot of long rallies tonight, that's for sure. It's been short and sweet, but two teams there clawing their way, trying to stay in that point.
That girl Madeline again with the defense, and then the offense. So Casanova picked up. Good hustle from Kenny. Oh, and then what a shame, Amanda, the 20, drags it down into the net. So Roberto Garcia.
Always a little bit over-ambitious there, I think, from the... Maybe just giving the free ball back might have been a better option from where she was coming from.
She's only got one speed. So Cuba tragically into the net. The sense of disgust on the Cuban bench is palpable. 16-21. Kenny will go back to serve for Colombia. can't help but think that Cuba really needs to wrap this set up. They don't look to have the mental mindset to deal with a comeback from Colombia. It might be fatal. It's all right there, finally.
Yes, she'd be very relieved that she's... and Coach Garcia gives her a clap, gives her a little wave, says, good on you. We're
Rodriguez.
We're friends again.
I am your biggest fan.
Yes, but I'm still going to give you a bit of a bollocking here. Here we go.
Casanova serving, 22-16. Oh, 2 in a row into the net for Cuba.
He's giving Casanova. He's still giving her a bollocking. You really do not want to put a foot wrong out there today if you are because you're going to get all the rounds of the kitchen table on the way back to the bench, because you are going to end up on the bench. There's absolutely no doubt about that.
Absolutely.
That's where you're headed. Oh, dear.
Maddie Enzo, need her to stand up a little bit more, perhaps. Yep. Amanda for Colombia, well handled. Maddie Enzo again, well picked up.
She gave that everything, Madeline.
Well, sitting here just enjoying the guts effort of this athlete from Colombia, the 7. She's in everything. All of these scrappy plays, these broken plays, ultimately it seems to be her finding a way to execute the most ungainly landing you'll see, somehow finding a way to draw the point for her team. Colombia 18-22. They're close enough if they're good enough to try and close the gap. Cuba needs to find a spike winner. There it is. You can't help but feel good for Rodriguez to see her hit a clean winner. She returns to the service line, vindicated.
She would be feeling a little bit nervous though. Here we go. We're getting a time. I think the Cuban coach has actually called a timeout, even though they just won the point. Maybe just to drive home the need for Rodriguez to get this serve over the net, as if she doesn't have enough pressure on her already.
That will be part of the talk track. Eduardo Gilam, the Colombia coach, looks pretty calm. Cuba, though, are only 2 points away from maybe locking this match up at 1 set all. This is a big and important moment for the young 22-year-old Rodriguez. They have missed their last 2 serves. So the eyes of Cuba and their coach are firmly on this service action. We are underway again. That's a good start. It's in. The block forms, but not well enough.
Yeah, this is going to tighten up a little bit now, I think, Jonathan.
And who is it but that girl again, the number 7, Madeline? Had no right to find the seam between the blocker and the antenna, but she did it. So 19-23, she could get hot at the baseline and make this second set really interesting. Or she could serve it into the belly of the net and bring up set point Cuba.
Yeah, she really needed to get it over just to put a bit of pressure on the Cubans, because they do tend to look a bit fragile at times when there's a bit of pressure applied, but that's an easy point for them. 24-19, set point. Oh dear.
And that's the captain too. No one's looking over to the bench on the back of that. But they have got a little bit of currency still to spend here in the second set. They have 4 set points still. Amanda for Colombia at the service line. One good action from Cuba and they wrap this second set up. And a massive net touch. That is absolutely.
Well,
huge. And Lorena looking, this will be an interesting replay because
the Colombians thought it was a...
Oh, no, it was Kenny. Yeah, it was Kenny. And she looks over at the ref as if to say, I dare you to call that. It was huge. Lorena couldn't believe it because it wasn't, she had it back to Kenny. But anyway, the second set is in the bag. We are now 1 set all. Cuba have given their fans some little heart attacks in the last 20 minutes or so, but they got it done. And this match is now tied, 1 set all. Colombia v Cuba. Here at Bendigo, we hope you're enjoying the World Grand Prix, Rossoli. That set had a bit of everything.
Yeah, and I think the Colombian coach Guillaume will be very disappointed that his team didn't put more pressure on Cuba and make them earn that set. The last 2 points that Cuba won, one was a service error from the Colombians into the net, and then they followed up with a net touch. Gave them a pretty cheap finish to the set. The Cubans deserved it, as we can see from the highlights here, Jonathan.
The number 6, Lesque, was absolutely instrumental in all their best moments. As Madeline for Colombia, the number 7 was their best player in that set. It was definitely Lesque, the 6. Saw the highlights of a lot of passionate timeouts. Madeline tried to do all she could. Kenny went a little bit missing in that set. She didn't hit nearly as many clean winners, didn't get as many opportunities. The setter for Cuba, Hernandez, did a nice job guiding the team around the court. So we are locked at 1-1 So both teams came here to win 3 sets of volleyball. They've got 1 in the bag. Best of 5 sets. We haven't had a 5-setter yet this weekend in the World Grand Prix here in Bendigo. I'm sure the passionate local crowd would love to see 5 sets of volleyball. Here we are looking at the statistics of that set. Just the 1 ace from Cuba. Slightly more attacks. Errors are about the same, but interesting, the Cuban block really got working in that set, 5 blocks to 2. So more attacks and more blocks. You're generally going to win these sets at this level. There is the captain of Colombia, Maria Alejandra Marin. Of course, these ladies see some interesting parts of Australia. The Colombian ladies played in Canberra last year, our nation's capital. This year we've brought them to Bendigo in country Victoria, so they will be no doubt enjoying seeing another part of Australia. I noticed the captain of Cuba, Marienzo, is having a little dance to the groove that our DJ's putting down, so it's something you don't see every day.
No, and with their coach in his current frame of mind, I don't know.
Is that wise?
I don't know that I would have been looking like I was enjoying myself too much at this stage, but look, it's fantastic to have them here. They've really enjoyed, I think, coming to Bendigo and being here in country Australia and seeing volleyball passion. Certainly the crowds have been fantastic. I know the Cubans really enjoyed having that big capacity crowd last night, even though very few of them were supporting the Cubans. The atmosphere was fantastic. It had a real Latin American feel to it. And well, they're now 1-1, and we're seeing a lot of passion out there today. There's no doubt about that. The question is who settles now, who comes out and holds the line, because both teams have shown that they have a habit of falling over.
And both these squads give you a sense of ability. Solid. You're really not sure what you're going to get, which is interesting and fun in equal proportions. We are ready to go. Cuba starting us up in the 3rd set. World Grand Prix. Amanda going down the line, but missing. Serve. The spike going for a little bit too much, missing the line. So underway. Amanda will get a chance to right her wrongs. That's a nice swing.
Crowd building up now. It's I think we're going to have a good turnout. Certainly for the 2nd match, Australia's last match, playing against Croatia, who have been incredibly impressive this weekend. They really have. We'll talk more about that game later, because this game is
really fascinating. Melissa?
Yep, could not get a closer match at this stage. 1-1.
Oh!
Big block, and that's her again. She has really made a bit of an impact since she's come on and taken up that role, Lorena. Pretty hard to get that ball past her, isn't it?
Absolutely. Unfortunately, couldn't quite turn it back in a court, so Cuba will take the point. Alvarez Hernandez with a big serve. Wow, that's a fantastic piece of athleticism from Amanda. High ball goes out. That's literally, you know, go, but the high set like that gives the block that little bit extra time to get out there and really form. But Cuba probably not responding quickly enough, and Amanda going sharp cross-court, doing a nice job. But here's Madeline with this jump serve of hers, just long on that occasion.
We've mentioned the first 2 days, but it's worth mentioning again, Colombia with this interesting approach where they do rotate their liberos. They have a defensive libero and an attacking libero. A few teams that actually you see doing that.
Kenny wasn't. We're going to get battle up. And there's your answer, Rodriguez. So she's starting to find her groove, which is great. She was heavily criticised, chastised is a good word. Now she's starting to find her radar, which is great.
Cuba again just opening up a little break here.
Casanova serving it up. Amanda's pass is good. She'll get a swing hit. That's the passer hitter roll or the outside hitter roll. You see often when the serve reception is good from that outside hitter, you want to set them the ball because they're in the groove, the adrenaline is pumping, you want to get it back to them.
She's one of these players that obviously is a very big part of the future of Colombia. She's just 19 years old, Amanda, and getting a lot of responsibility in this match. By contrast, there you have Kenny, who has had so much experience, so reliable. In clutch moments when you need somebody just with a level head, just to do something wise and sensible, she seems to be the go-to person.
Absolutely. Went a little bit off the boil in the second set, but you see that in volleyball. You'll see an athlete dominate a set and then you think, wow, where did they go? But as this game wears on, Kenny, the number 3 at 37 years of age, will absolutely be required for Colombia. There she is again, just competing well above the net. Wasn't necessarily pretty, she's just up there putting enough pressure on Cuba. They hit the lead now, 5-4. The tip was there, she hung around, played the next one. This is Amanda. Good pickup from the libero. They have to run around her to get a play on it. Kenny with a interesting round arm. Oh, pickup was breathtaking. And that is such a gutsy dive. The libero, Juliana, has wiped out the camera crew and an esky. And
tripod's gone.
Absolutely.
Cameraman, hats off to the cameraman. He did not flinch.
No, he didn't. You're going to see this ball go spraying out. Back to the live action, the serve loading well long. So we are in the third set, folks. Hope you're enjoying the coverage. The FIVB World Grand Prix for 2016 Group 3. We are in Bendigo, Victoria, country Australia. We've come out in good numbers to enjoy a great weekend of volleyball. This Cuba and Colombia are 2 of the teams in this pool. Croatia and Australia are the other 2.
Rodriguez has... So this is a lesson for coaches and kiddies watching at home. Coach, don't be frightened to give your player a real rev up, because if the result is that they come out and play like Rodriguez is playing, then that is considered a tick in the success column, isn't it? She's really playing some inspired volleyball. Great. We talked about Kenny's experience and knowledge and knowing what to do in a pressure situation. There's a great example.
And how's the swag when she's pointing down to the floor saying that ball's in, girls, and then swagging on back to the team huddle. There's a lot to like about this experienced athlete. Here's the captain. Back set hook. Well, we're really going to Rodriguez now. It's a Rodriguez festival. And why not? She's got the hot court. lined up in the back corner, set me, and again, that just a little moment. We've seen that a little bit from Colombia when they zone out on the backcourt attack and don't really get a block up. So they want to be a little bit more alert. Kenny this time is blocked. She's looking back at the squad saying someone's got to cover up on that ball, which is probably well within her rights to do. So we are at the technical timeout number 1 in the third set.
I think that was Alvarez, was it? They got the block then? Yeah.
They're all standing there looking, going, oh, yep.
Probably one of the hardest balls to read, though, isn't it? Though, when it comes flying back off the block, the blocks rarely know where the ball's going to end up. So what chance have you got if you're on this? And you are backing your spiker to get it past the block. So.
Por eso,
Unos, dos, tres, Colombia. They currently trail though, Cuba 8-7. Nothing in this match, 1 set all, 8-7. Is this going to be an arm wrestle all the way through to 5 sets, or is someone going to stand up and just take the match away for the opposition? It's hard to know. This is match 3 for both these teams for the weekend, so fatigue and the distance travelled, it all starts to become a factor. Madeline will hoik it over to Kenny on the other side, and just the experience. She took everything off the ball, tooled the block. We call it, you tool the block when you deliberately just softly nudge the ball onto the block like that. The blocker is the last person to touch the ball, and you hate that as the blocker. Alvarez Hernandez was filthy. And then Kenny goes back, sends it long.
You are sort of waiting for one of these two teams to crack, aren't you? At the moment, they're going point for point. They're making mistakes, but no one is sort of standing up and.
They're playing a bit safe too.
They are, yeah. It's surprising in many ways for two fairly flamboyant Latin American teams.
It's going to be Madeline, but can't get a handle on one.
Well, guess who?
There it goes. So Rodriguez is the tail of the third set so far. Where Madeline was dominating earlier for Colombia, she's now gone into a bit of a cold snap. Rodriguez.
You do run hot and cold, don't you? I mean, you can't be up for an entire match.
100% right. So you have to ride it out. Cuba out to a 10-8 lead, starting to open up a little bit of a gap. But there is Madeline again, just reminding us of her capabilities. That's a nice arm swing. Melissa serving. And that's the spike we saw last night a lot. Alvarez, the 19. In the Australia-Cuba game, there was a lot of that hard-driven ball out of this position. Position 2, we call that. Down the line, she just opens up that right shoulder. It's just brutal. Absolutely brutal. They lead 11-9 now. She's serving big. Serving very big indeed.
So big, in fact, it knocked your TV monitor over.
I got a touch though.
You did.
I got a big piece of that ball. See a massive serve. The ball flies off. Pasty, middle-aged guy in the commentary booth does a very poor job of trying to dig it.
That's a big set. That's a big serve. That is a big way to go into that timeout. The Colombian coach says, "Come in here. I need to give you a bit of a going over."
Recuperemos nuestra capacidad de ataque nosotros, moviendo un poquito más la mano en ataque, no siempre enfrentando. Y si hay que tocar, no da vergüenza, amagar y tocar porque después un montón. Asuma el volumen de juego.
All right, timeout. huddle is completed, 12 points to 9. Cuba now 3-point leaders. This is such sweet, sweet serving from Alvarez. See if the timeout has knocked her out of her concentration or not. She's taken all the pace off that ball. Madeline.
The block was there, but Madeline hitting it with so much force and that little bit of angle made the block fairly ineffectual.
Yeah, coming down the front of the block, so it will be Madeline with her jump serve. Let's see if she can respond. Oh, beautiful serve it is too, but well handled.
Well handled by that.
Wow, that's stunning from Cuba. That is such a great dig, set, spike play. That serve had so much heat on it, but it's landed right on top of Hernandez, the setter's head. She's fed a really nice ball to Casanova. It will be Casanova to serve. Cuba 13-10, holding on to the lead. And making it bigger, so 14-10. Kenny in the backcourt urging the team to make a bit of noise, call that ball. There was I think Elvis said it best, a communication breakdown. They just stand looking at each other. Casanova again, much better talk from the Colombian squad. But Lorena is shut out
by, have a guess who, the girl who absolutely dominated that second set. She was on fire, and we haven't called her much this set, Lescaille, but she was there.
Okay, let's go, Lescaille. She's well pleased. So this is a good run, Cuba. Opening up a 5-point lead now. Colombia have to respond. Go back to Lorena this time. Not always a fan of going back to exactly the same play. Much better option. She's got to run so far to bring that ball back cross court. So Amanda. Enzo's gone largely unseen in this match so far, right up until that moment.
Well called, Jonathan. It was like almost that you knew that was coming and you prepared people for a stunning bit of play from the captain, and she was right in the right place at the right time to shut down the Colombian attack.
Look at this. Maddie Enzo, left arm. That is just delightful blocking technique. The hands, the shoulders, the footwork, and at the last moment, you might not have picked it up at home, folks, but she pivots through the shoulders and hips and pushes everything in her body back towards the cross court, and the ball just follows. Arriba is the call from Roberto Garcia. We all know what that means, Ross.
My spell check on my computer keeps wanting me to call Maddie Enzo Mittens, but there was nothing Mittens about her behaviour out there then, was it? It was fists, and it was endeavour, and it was a real steely resolve to shut that play down. 16-11.
So Cuba have awakened from their Sunday morning slumber here in Bendigo and are looking the better team right now. We need a heart rate monitor and a sphygmomanometer on both the coaches to check their blood pressure as it ebbs and flows. It would be some interesting reading.
Kenny again doing the cross-court spike, but you're getting a little bit tired of that, Jonathan. You want to see a little bit more?
No, she's made an adjustment. That's much better. She's now looking at those hands, going, I'm just going to go high and off that hand. She's not trying to hit the court. The set wasn't there for her to really crush, so she adjusted really well. Colombia 12-16. Lescaille picked up. Backcourt opportunity for Madeline. But Colombia just starting to fall apart a little bit. 17-12. The body language on the Cuban side of the court is much calmer.
They do look like a totally different side when they're in front. There's no doubt about that, the Cubans there.
Marienzo. Madeline just can't find a winner. She was in everything previously. And that's into the roof. Well, there you go, Bendigo. Raise the roof. The Australian volleyball fans have been raising the roof all weekend with their voice. This hard-driven ball picked up pretty well. But that's tough for Marienzo. She did absolutely nothing wrong. As soon as the ball hits the roof or any part of the stadium, it is instantly called out.
And it's not a low roof, by the way.
No. Don't let me in any way besmirch the infrastructure here at Bendigo, which has served volleyball so well for many, many years. Just had so much power on it. It flew up off the arms.
Kenny just coming over and asking, well, if he would share his thoughts on how things are going at the moment.
Some wisdom.
Yes.
Por favor.
And I think he said, please, can you win some more points? Well, I don't know what he told Kenny, but I don't think it was that.
Don't get blocked.
Yeah, don't hit it straight into the block and set your teammates up.
Well, Cuba looking absolutely different. They're wearing the same jerseys, but they bear no resemblance to the team that started the match.
No, they are not.
They got better and better as the match has worn on.
And look at the smile.
Look at
the smile on the face of the Cubans. They are actually really enjoying themselves at the moment. Let's see if Roberto Garcia is enjoying himself.
Colombia.
You would think, Jonathan Fogarty, watching this game unfold and what we see, you would think it was the Colombians who had the late finish last night. They look heavy in the legs. They look a little bit lethargic. Whereas the Cubans, who did have the late finish last night and a tough, grueling match, have got a lot of spring in their step at the moment. They're definitely great front runners, the Cubans, no doubt about that, but they are running all over the top of the Colombians.
Lescaille with the serve, starts us up again. Madeline gets the touch off the block. She needed that. She needed a settler. I would describe that as just to settle the nerves, get her back in the groove. She winds up, hits it pretty high, just catches the hands of Santas, the 5, and makes sure that everyone knows it. So Kenny with a searching serve. Nicely blocked. Melissa doing all the work for Colombia at the net. Firstly, the block, and Boris on the free ball and snots it away. This will look great. Watch the middle blocker shuffle across, get some hands on it. The ball's popped up. She says, I'll have a piece of that, ladies. And that is delightful. The Cuba have done really well towards the end of the second set and now absolutely deep into the third is that they've not made back-to-back errors.
No.
They've made errors. They've been beaten cleanly on a number of points, but they've managed to not let Colombia get bunches of points, and 2015 is a very, very healthy scoreboard for Cuba at the moment. Amanda's going to have to do something. Libero will step in and set the ball. Melissa. They don't look as excited about a block like that. Previously, they were really lighting up.
No, there's no spark out there at the moment, unfortunately, for the Colombians. And even the coach now has sat down. You don't see him sitting much on the sidelines, but he's sat down now. I think he's deep in conversation with his assistant coach about how do we generate a bit of spark in our players.
Maybe they could get Roberto Garcia to talk to them.
Maybe they could. It seemed to do the trick for the Cubans.
That would be a lovely gesture.
Wouldn't it? He did stand up there for a little while, but
I'll fire them up. But it is Cuba that keep on keeping on in this third set. They've won the second. They're now 21-16 in the third, so they are finding a way to get it done. Just for a moment, I thought the Lions judge was going to point downwards rather than towards the heavens.
It wasn't by much, but it was out. We're
Alvarez.
We're in a pretty good spot here. We have got tired old eyes, but ooh.
Yeah, no, well watched. Well watched. The libero going to extravagant lengths to leave it. This is, of course, Madeline. Oh, they wanted an ace then. You get the sense that Colombia, that was maybe their big roll of the dice for this third set. 22-17. Cuba will just go point for point and will win this set comfortably if Colombia don't change the game.
And
if
this
they don't do something
Jonathan,
special.
this is what Colombia did in the last set. They're just gifting easy points now to
Here's
the
another one.
Yeah,
It's going to
gifting
be a
them
free
easy
ball.
points. And we know that the Cubans don't deal well with pressure, but 2 sets in a row now, they've just handed it to them on a plate. They're not putting him under any pressure at all, and that would be concerning for the Colombian coach, Eduardo Guillem. He just needs them to step up and make sure that they don't give Cuba these soft points, and they're getting a lot of them at the moment.
And it is that 17-year-old Heidi Casanova Alvarez. Back to the service line, 23-17. So a match that started so strongly for Colombia is starting to very much get away from them. They dropped the second set and they are in a very, very dangerous position in the third. Here's an opportunity for Madeline, but she has absolutely gone ice cold.
Not happy.
Not happy, Jan, we say here in Australia. She has dragged that ball down into the net, and it is a whole bunch of set points for Cuba.
And again, another soft point for the Cubans. They're just loving this. There's no pressure on them at all.
Casanova for the set to take Cuba to 2-1, and they shut the lights out. And it is that girl Lescay again. She started that set so well. She finished it great. So Cuba have arrived in Bendigo in a big way in this match. They now lead this match 2-1, 25-17 in the third, and Colombia have hit a submerged log.
They really have, Jonathan. That is a great call. They look like they've run aground and they're not quite sure how to get back out and get afloat again. And I just, the handing over soft points at a crucial time of the set when admittedly they're a long way behind, but you've got to put pressure on the other side. And they weren't doing that. Service errors, hitting the ball into the net, misreading the play. At least put this team under some pressure. The Cubans, we know they're young. I think, what's their average age? 21?
21 and a half, yeah.
We know that they're young. So young, they're the sort of people that you want to put under pressure, and it just wasn't there for the Colombians. So they've got a lot of thinking to do now.
Haven't they indeed? The third set highlights now coming up. We saw some good play. Amanda had her moments. Kenny had her moments. They all had their moments. They just didn't have enough of them. This is Kenny being a menace at the net. Then nodding obediently for her coach. Lescay, though, the number 6, was probably the best athlete out there for mine in that set. Alvarez did her job, did it really well. This serve was absolutely clinical. But her blocking and her spiking, there she is, the big smile. Why not, girl? You are en fuego at the moment. Absolutely on fire. And there she is, bringing it up to win the third set. So number 6 for Cuba. Hashigal has done the business. So Cuba, 2-1, they lead this match. There is the tail of the tape. 2 aces to Cuba, none for Colombia. A few more attacks from Colombia, but they were a lot of ball kept coming back over. They had to play a lot of points. The errors, though, are a really, really telling statistic. Only 2 errors for the whole set for Cuba, 4 times as many for Colombia, and that makes it very, very hard. If you are making errors at that rate, it's going to be very, very difficult to get back into a match. A little sub-story inside the bigger story. The number 20, Rodriguez, has got a big smile on her face now. But there were moments of self-doubt and introspection for her earlier in the match.
And let's give credit to even though as a father myself, I'm not completely convinced of the worth of giving players enormous sprays like that. But look, let's give credit where credit's due. The Cuban coach, Roberto Garcia, has turned this team around from midway through the second set when they looked out on their feet and they were making some silly rookie errors. He gave one of the most enormous sprays that we've seen for a long time, and the players that he directed those sprays to have stepped up. They've stood up and said, okay, I can prove to you that I can do this right, and it has really turned this around for the Cubans. So, you know, coaches don't get a lot of credit sometimes. You look at what the players do on the court, but he has instilled in these Cubans a desire to please Jonathan Fogarty.
Well, they have absolutely responded to whatever it was he said to them. Just looking at the lineups there, Cuban outfit have remained the same, no changes there. Though I think I detect a change in the Colombian lineup, which is probably not surprising. So we're about to get underway. The start of the all-important fourth set with Cuba leading this match 2-1. This is the Colombian captain getting a start with a searching serve into the corner. Not a great start. So the 17 for Colombia is a new entrant into this battle. Daniela Castro. She'll middle block. Rodriguez hitting from all parts of the compass with conviction now. So yeah, the 17 has come on, I think, replacing Lorena. We'll wait till the libero goes off, but yeah, it looks like a middle blocker change.
One of the most famous names in Cuban history, but she's playing for Colombia. Ooh, and there's another one.
That falls in the rafters.
Yes. Alvarez got a lot of power in that right arm of hers.
Really winds up. She kind of had a point to prove. She shanked the first serve of the fourth set to give Colombia their first point, so she's earned it back with the guts effort. That next serve is going to go well long, however, so that's service error handed over. So again, we are in the fourth set, 2-1. Cuba leading this match. So 2-all on the scoreboard here in the fourth. Welcome to the World Grand Prix, wherever you're watching this broadcast. Hope you're enjoying it.
That's Rodriguez sending one wide.
Let's not read anything into an early error.
Nope.
I'm sure she's just getting her radar back on this side of the court. The ball was there for her to really have a go at. She hit it pretty high over the block, but just Kenny for Colombia to serve. And a tough serve it is. Boy, they're really picking out the 19 on the serve. And the Cuban coach is going to respond and respond swiftly.
He doesn't, there's no second chances in the world.
No. Gracia is coming on, and a couple of service errors, or reception errors, I should say, from Alvarez sees her benched in a very quick fashion. Back set is delightful. And there she is, the 20 doing a nice job. Rodriguez snapping that ball down with some authority, which is great to see. The 17-year-old Casanova serving now. Had a good third set for Cuba. Amanda will get a swing. Misses absolutely everything over the block, and just in one of those situations where the athlete doesn't quite snap their wrist over the top of the ball. You want to generate some spin, and that ball.
And this is the problem. We talked about Colombia, their inability to string together a long stretch. And look at that. That is
she's going to blow up. She's not going to like that.
So is Garcia. Have a look at this. He is going to hit the
So her belief, Lescay, the 6, is that this ball is on top of the net, and she has rights to play at this ball. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, it's more than on top of the net.
Boy, that's not a great replay for the first official. I feel that was a valid attempt to the ball. There you go, that's gone now. Of course, at different parts of the World Grand Prix and the Men's World League events. They do have a challenge system where a play like that, I've been watching any of the men's competition going on at the moment. In Tokyo, you would see that would have instantly have been challenged by the coach, but at Group 3, that technology is not employed. Good touch by Burrell, the libero. So Matienzo puts a free ball over Kenny or Madeline, I'm sorry, then sprays it. So the desperation from Cuba, they are out-desperating at the moment.
Just going to let that hang for a minute.
I think the less said about that, the better.
But what I was saying before is the inability of Colombia to string together some consistency. And you know, they're making a lot of mistakes at the moment. Look at that. There's confusion about who should go for that ball.
Matienzo, though, hasn't hit a clean winner for a while. She needs to... Oh, this girl's doing absolutely everything. And the coach, it has to be said, is incandescent with joy for a change.
Is that joy?
It's as close as Roberto Garcia gets to joy. Look at the guts effort floating out of the backcourt for this. She lands badly, she lands ugly, but ultimately gets it done for Cuba. What a Cinderella story it would be if she hit the winning point to win this match for Cuba. That's a ways off, potentially. Scoreboard in favour of Colombia now, 7-6.
I do get the very, very great pleasure and honour to attend the post-match press conference. If you have any questions you'd like me, Jonathan, to fire at the Cuban coach, you could jot them down.
I would just.
That would be really great. In fact, what I'd even more if you could come and do the press conference.
It would be a different press conference if Cuba win than if they lose. I think it wouldn't take a genius to predict. Matienzo will serve for Cuba. The captain goes back to the service line. She's been a little bit under the radar in this match. She's had some good matches and some good patches in this match.
Very good last night.
Others have stepped up for Cuba in the last 2 sets, and that's okay. It means a well-balanced team, Ross Solly, is one where different individuals at different times are contributing to the effort. You can't have one athlete that's doing all the heavy lifting. Matienzo would ask for that serve back if she could, I'd imagine.
At the moment, it's got a feeling that this could go to 5 sets. We could have our first 5-setter, I think, Jonathan, probably the way this is panning out. But having said that, I still have my doubts that the Colombians can hold their nerve and be consistent enough to string together this set. The Cubans are certainly looking a little bit more focused. I think when you've got a coach as passionate as Roberto Garcia, you need to always look focused at the very, very least,
Absolutely.
even if you're not focused. Not as much dancing on the sidelines from the Cubans now as there was at the start of the last set when they had a bit of a jig about them.
Well, whatever they were doing is working. So technical timeout number 1 is concluded as the first team gets to 8. We take a break, and then at 16, the first team to 16 will take our second technical timeout. It's going to be the lefty, Gracia.
And Coach Garcia is very happy with that. That was a play that he has probably worked through a lot, and he's really happy with the way that turned out. Levels it up again at 8-all in this important 4th set.
Lescaille to serve. Kenny's really gone off the boil.
Hasn't she? She's got a few teammates, though, who have as well.
And they've really started to really block her well, or they've done it for a couple of sets now. But she's really looking for where her next win is going to come from. She tipped the first one, and watch this Cuban wall respond. They put 3 on her. She went down the line and missed, so credit that to the blocking of Cuba. Then her serve receive is tentative, so talk about momentum and the individual athletes having good runs at points and then kind of zoning out. And for Kenny at the moment, she's gone off into dreamland a little bit at the moment. She needs to switch back on. Cuba have opened up a 10-8 lead. And they serve her again, as they absolutely should. They'll get a free ball opportunity of sorts. Oh, and the lefty, I could watch that all day long. The left-hander snapping it short cross court. The block sort of zoned off on the left shoulder. Great work from Casanova on the joust.
And Jonathan, I did say just a handful of points ago that even though Colombia are in front, I was concerned about their lack of consistency, and we've just seen it again. You know, they just fall away for periods of time every set, and they can't get back into focus. So,
and I think that's the experience difference. The Cuban squad, though they're younger, they've played a lot of games, and they're picking up on little things like the body language of Kenny. She's had a couple of errors, so the next serve goes to her, she shanks it, and guess where the next serve goes? At her again. And Cuba get a free ball situation and convert it. So, gee, if I'm the number 3 for Colombia, I'm going to step out of the service line and look for someone else to serve, receive this next ball, because it is coming her way. This is going to go down the line at Kenny. Oh, they change it up. Kenny's got to do something. It's an innocuous roll shot that's going to get pounded by the lefty, but well blocked. So Colombia for a chance to settle, but it's going to be a free ball. It's got to go to Kenny. She's got, can't get it done. Masquet back court set. Oh, what a shame. Rodriguez.
The one person. Actually got away with that one. I think so. Yeah, and this time she acknowledges the coach and says, yeah, fair cop, fair cop. I'll probably get done, but it's all right.
Lovely, as they say in Cuba. Or not.
Oh, that's just what you need.
Well.
The captain served. No, it wasn't. It was Melissa, was it?
Yeah, it was the 16. Nibbler, the server that hits the net and just runs along the tape and drops down. Nasty little stank serve that just schmoozed its way over the net. No one wanted to touch it. Colombia hustling well, and then the overpass. Could go either way. Oh, I heard the call.
Oh dear.
The libero.
This is not going to impress.
But you know what? It's the captain that she sort of tried to bump out of the way. Ultimately, this is the libero's ball. The free ball is about to come over in this replay. I could hear the mind call from here. They're not really looking at each other. The captain of Cuba, mightily unimpressed. She's got a very, very unimpressed look on her face. But if you are the defensive specialist and you call mine, everybody gets out of the way. That's how it works. If your job is solely defensive, you don't like people putting you out of work. So 11-all. That's not pretty. That's not a good replay for Cuba.
Well, the Cubans had this set under control, didn't they? Now they've fallen away a little bit. But this is what I was talking. Okay, so let's see if Colombia now can hold their form and be consistent now through to the end, or whether they'll now slip back into what has become so apparent in their game that they do switch off for a long period of time.
Melissa to Colombia, 11-all. Great defense. Oh, Colombia are going to run through a table. Madeline gets it in play. Well, the desperation levels have ratcheted up a notch in this rally. Who is going to convert? Madeline. Yes. Oh, no.
Can we have a replay?
Wow.
That point is better.
Madeline has dug that ball off the scorer's table initially after hitting the floor. Just watch the work of the 7. Here I come. Get out of my way, world. It's Madeline. And then ultimately she's hit the ball long. What a pity for her. That would have lifted Colombian spirits through the roof. She'll get an opportunity to set the right. Oh, good touch from the Cuban coach. Unfortunately, as soon as the coach touches the ball, it is called out. So 12 all. Well, this is an interesting little phase of this match. Colombia are playing for their lives in this match. 2 sets to 1 down. They were the best team out there at the end of the first set. Looked well in control. Started the second set really solidly, and then Cuba woke up, wrested control back in the second set to win it. Won the third set pretty comfortably, 25-17. But now it's tightening up again.
Nice. Up the middle. Just to mix things up a little bit. They've been going wide for a lot of tonight, but that was a good play. And Casanova, or her sister Casanova, one of the two, finished that off very nicely.
The left jump is Madeline. Get in a position quickly.
The girl that he has nurtured, if that is the word you use tonight.
So, you know, warmly and lovingly nurtured to her present mental state. Playing great.
Isn't she? Yeah, what?
We make light of it. She's absolutely getting a ball sprays earlier in the match. Cuba then had opened up a 2-point lead. It's back to 13-14.
How is this going to play out? This is really at an interesting junction, this game right now. The Colombians have been challenged. They've been asked the question, can they stand up and...
Oh, gee, I'm not sure that ball was going in. I don't think it touched the block, but the Colombian captain, Maria Alejandra, touched it on the way through. So Kenny will be subbed out. Margarita, number 19, comes in for Colombia. It is the 17-year-old Casanova for Cuba. Their trademark pre-serve routine, sets her sights, comes out to Amanda.
Oh, she is. That is a big block.
And the coach is straight over to her for the high 10. He knows that she's been the difference for a lot of this match. She peels out beautifully. Beautiful rhythm. I'm going to keep my hand up there just so you all know who blocked it. This is going to look great on the replay. Step, step, shuffle, and pivot. They didn't even get together as a block, but it didn't matter. Cuba now, 16-13. Colombia in the doldrums a little bit. They started this match so well, so full of promise. In this battle for second spot in this group.
There is a lot at stake here. I expect both teams to really be thrown in this match. And they have done, I think. I just think that the Colombians are just, mentally, they're just not quite able to hold it together. We look at some of the stats at the moment, Jonathan, for this match, and you know, it's pretty even already, really, when you look at it, except the block. The block is huge. Cuba, 14 blocks to Colombia's 4. And Lasquet has very much been part of that success story, hasn't she?
Absolutely. Great pickup by Marienzo, the captain. There it is, the number 20. The inspired substitution that put Rodriguez out there. And first time she started a match, she's really starting to hit a stride.
I'm just looking at the stats. We've called Lasquet a lot. She's won 7 points from blocks tonight, which is quite incredible. That is a big return.
Absolutely.
For a block player. You know, you have Margarita, who is leading the way on 25 points, but it's that sort of stat that really makes a big difference to a team, and she has played a big role tonight in getting her team up over the line. for the Colombians, Madeline leads the way with 18 points, but just nothing in the block column.
And it should be pointed out that that girl that's been brought on for this match, the number 20, Rodriguez, as you say, Rossoli, is leading all comers.
25 points.
In effectiveness. So, you know, it's a great coaching coup being pulled by Roberto Garcia there. He's brought her on, and she's taken the bit between her teeth. Amanda, the 20 for Colombia, hasn't had the impact in this match that she would have liked. But that was a nice swing. Saw the deep corner option, and that was a really clever play. Tough serve. It's going to be a free ball. Colombia, Margarita takes it. Pass was good. Oh, but Lesquet's blocking again. Lesquet's defense. If Cuba win this point, there'll be one name we'll be pointing to.
But they're not going to point.
But they won't.
Leave their hands in their pockets for a little bit longer there. Is that going to be the point that might inspire the Colombians? You know, they're not out of this set. It's 17-15. They're only 2 points down. Yes, they need to dig deep. Yes, they need to play a little bit better than they are playing. But they know that they're good enough.
Absolutely. Margarita, it should be pointed out, some wonderful defense of her own. Matienzo urging, begging for a touch off the block. Not getting one. We'll see the replay. It's missed absolutely everything. I think it was more an optimistic request. So Colombia closing the gap.
Oh,
and
that's
the
what
gap
you
is
need.
closed, 17 all.
That's what you need. I think that might have been the captain serving then, was it?
No, it was the 17 for Colombia, the new addition.
Yeah. Daniela.
Absolutely. She's a recent addition. Started the first 3 sets. So that is, of course, the Colombian coach, Eduardo Guillam's masterstroke to add her to the roster for this 4th set. The athletes back out on the court, 2-1. Cuba leading this World Grand Prix match here in Bendigo, Australia. Hope you're enjoying what's been a gripping game.
Sorry, Jonathan, I was looking at some of the results from other parts of the world in the Grand Prix. There haven't been a lot of close matches anywhere this weekend, so this could well be the first 5-setter in the Grand Prix this year, the Women's Grand Prix, if we get there. But we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, of course.
Sure. It is the hot hand on court at the moment, going back to serve. Number 20. Cuba, 18-17. Tip, well read by the block. Second time lucky, perhaps, for Colombia. Here is Matienzo, the captain. And what a time for her to hit a winner.
You've called it right, Jonathan. She's been quiet tonight compared to last night when she was very influential, but she's had others to do the heavy lifting while she's played more of a leadership role on the court, but that was a very, very effective spike.
Rodriguez again on the serve, asking questions of Amanda. Oh, the lefty from the back row. Absolutely. Gracia. Thank you very much, Gracia. Lefty takes off, snaps it. Cuba then put their foot down. 20-17 on the back of some tough serving. Margarita handles that one well. But they've got all the answers for Madeline at the moment. Matienzo shut down by Melissa, the middle block. Well, this game, I think, is just starting to get really interesting, Ross Solly.
It's gone up a notch, that's for sure. It's gone up a level with its intensity. But I still worry whether Colombia have the mental toughness to be able to get this over the line. They just seem to get a bit brittle, but they need a couple of good serves here. That helps.
It's a tough serve. Matienzo having to go the big push. Amanda will swing at one. Cuba deal well. Matienzo again, the skipper.
She's stood up again just when
wow,
you need her,
just at a clutch moment in the 4th set.
And that's what you want from your captain.
Absolutely. She showed good calmness.
The Cubans need, they are very young, I mean we keep saying it, they are a very, very young squad, so at a time when the match needs to be closed out, like it was last night against Australia when the Cubans were down 2 set points in the 4th set.
And Amanda sprays one into the antenna, so 22-18. And that's that brittleness that you talked about, Ross Solly.
Soft points, giving up soft points at an important time of the match.
That puts a lot of pressure on 22-18. The ball was there to be hit. And Amanda's just opened the shoulders a little bit too much and dragged it into the net. So the captain serves again for Cuba. The ball hard driven off the block. That's a nice play. Melissa, the 16, the middle attack, well set by the captain.
What I'd really like to see now, Jonathan, is the Colombians make Cuba earn this point, earn this match. They didn't do it in the last couple of sets. They gifted easy points. I want to see them really make the Cubans work this. Let's see if they can do it.
Here's the opportunity. Got to make the most. The set's not there, though. Margarita having to work too hard. Oh, desperation defense from Colombia, but they had dropped the ball earlier when they got the free ball over, and Margarita really had no ability to hit that ball. She'll get subbed off for Kenny. So 23-19, Cuba are absolutely home here unless Colombia can do something very, very special. 23-19, are they only 2 points away from the match? Ball still in play or not. It is now match point.
And I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you can't just give points like that at a crucial time.
A young team. They look down and beaten, but now Cuba have got 5 match points. And it is Lesquet who's been their best, and an opportunity wasted. She can't believe that, but she's still going to get a high 10 from her coach, who absolutely acknowledges the impact she's had on this match. For Colombia, they are on death row. They are down 4 match points. Something very, very special is required. Melissa serves to save another match point. Gracia, the left-hander, puts it in a play. Kenny finds her mojo.
Right, that's more like it. Let's see if the Colombians apply a little bit of pressure, put the foot on the throat. Let's see if the Cubans can respond.
Second match point save by Colombia. 21-24. Match point number 3 for Melissa. You don't want to see her miss this serve. Match point number 3. Ball's in play. It's going to go straight up in the air. Why not finish it for the match? But no. Defense outstanding from Marienzo.
For goodness sake.
Gracia. No, Colombia hanging tough on Kenny. Blocked.
Another chance. Can they finish?
For the win, Cuba. Yes. Sí, por favor. Cuba, 3 sets to 1. 25-21, they are dancing in Bendigo. They are dancing for Cuba. Colombia have had their moments, but in the end, this wonderful Cuban outfit, too big, too strong, too good. Well, there it is, Ross Solly. A good win to Cuba in the end.
Yeah, it is a great effort for them. They were very, very tired last night. They were very, very despondent. Even though they won, they felt that they hadn't played well. They had to come out today and pick themselves up. They played like the team who had the night off, whereas the Colombians looked heavy in the legs. Too many mistakes from the Colombians. If you look at some of the highlights here, it's just that the Colombians unable to take control and gifting easy points to the Cubans. You can't do that.
What a point it was for the win. Gosh, the desperation, absolutely unbelievable. Well, both these squads will leave Bendigo for this round of the World Grand Prix with the what could have beens. For Cuba, it was their match against Croatia. They'll look back at that one. They got a set off Croatia. They did what no one else has been able to do yet. But then they managed to win their next 2 games. And there's some joy in the squad now, but there were some moments perhaps they weren't as joyful. Here are the highlights of that fourth and final set for Madeline. She was the go-to gal for Colombia for most of the match, but when she went missing, no one really replaced her. And the girl that really stood up was the Cuban number 20 Rodriguez. She was brought into this match as a replacement for an injured player, we believe an injured player, in Vargas, who we haven't seen in the gym today. And she was ultimately a great substitution. She came and got the job done. You see her here hitting that ball at 20 and loving it, letting the coach know. Maddie Enzo, the captain, she didn't dominate, but at some crucial times, she was able to get the job done. And there's Rodriguez enjoying her work here in Bendigo. So there you see the scoreboard, 25-21, 25 final set score, 3-1. Leave with a 2-1 record out of the Bendigo round for Colombia.
Yeah,
it wasn't their day.
No, it most certainly wasn't. In fact, the last 2 days haven't been their day. They were disappointing yesterday and again today. And you know, there's obviously some issues there. This is a team that really believe that they should be going to Rio, but on the evidence that we saw this weekend, they're a bit away from that stage of going to an Olympics. There's obviously a bit of work needs to be done. There's a lot of mental toughness to a game of volleyball and to a team. And a lot of that comes back to your coaching panel, a lot of it comes back to your leadership on the court. We look at the stats, Jonathan. Yeah,
absolutely. The Colombia more aces in that last set, but vastly more attacks from Cuba. Slightly more errors, but if you're attacking the ball twice as much as your opposition, you're going to make a few more errors. And a couple of good blocks for Cuba, 2-1, not much there, but ultimately Cuba just too big, too strong, more attack on the ball. One of the stats that doesn't show there is their service pressure was very good. They put Colombia's serve reception under a lot of pressure, which meant they got a lot more free balls, a lot more softer attacks coming at them, which they could then convert into points. So there you have it. It's been a gripping match here in Bendigo in the Group 3 of the World Grand Prix, the FIVB World Grand Prix. We've just seen the two teams play. That will see Cuba for now leap over Croatia to go to the top of this pool. Of course, Croatia to play Australia in the next game. Colombia, well, they will stay stranded on 3 points. They've won 1 and lost 2. So Cuba for now leading this pool, but of course Croatia, Australia, the next match to go, so those points may change.
Now, Jonathan, I am going to go off and do the press conference with our friend Mr. Garcia and Mr. Gulam. Any particular questions you'd like me to throw at either coach?
Just give them my love. Yes. Tell them we've really enjoyed having these two wonderful squads.
It's been fantastic.
Cuba and Colombia, it's been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to one more game here. It is, of course, Australia v Croatia coming up next. But until then, on behalf of Ross Solly, I've been Jonathan Fogarty. It's a great privilege bringing you the World Grand Prix of Volleyball here in Bendigo. Until next time, we'll see you later.
Bye-bye.